Hello, my children. The young beloved of my congregation. I miss you so much. And I'm grateful and glad to be able to still teach you and encourage you with the Word of God. And I miss you so much, and I wish so much that I was there with you. I know that both of you have been looking forward to today, looking forward to our Sunday school, and it really warms my heart. I love teaching you guys. I do, and I'm a very proud dad to you. Let's begin. So we are in Genesis chapter 10. So our 10th week, our 10th Sunday school. Very exciting. And so today we're going to be learning about the descendants of Noah. And you'll notice as we go through here that, yes, like it says in verse 1, these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Right? Sons were born to them after the flood. And in that, it's referring to that Shem, Ham, and Japheth did not have children until after the flood, after the waters had receded from the earth and it stopped raining, and there they were on the new ground. It wasn't until after they left the ark that they started having children. That's what that verse specifically refers to. Okay? But you'll notice that as we read chapter 10, Shem is the descendants of Shem are not mentioned in chapter 10. They're not really talked about, and that's because we get into details about Shem with chapter 11. Okay, so with chapter 10, we're focusing on the sons of Ham and Japheth. Okay, the two other brothers. So, as we read along, I'll be doing the pronouncing for you. But next week, when we are back together, you'll get to practice some pronunciation yourself. And listen to these names, the huge important names, right? The names of people that turned into the name of the person became the name of that town, or the name of that tribe, or even the name of that country, right? Several of the names that we'll read this morning, all of the people, I mean, this one person was multiplied into their own great nation, right? So you'll hear some names of countries that exist today, at least one. And so it's very cool to see, to look this far back into history, right? And in chapter 10, we're before chapter 10, we are before Abraham, right? We're before Israel. So this is way back in history. Long time ago. Right? And so it's important to study this for a couple of different reasons. One, it teaches us the flow of human history, right? We can look back in these times and see kind of how humanity sprouted, how countries came to be. And then it's also important to study because these names show up later in the Bible. So to see how these later descendants, these different people groups, how they interact with each other in the Old Testament, even though they came from the same person, right? Yes, now they're warring nations, but the nations that are at war, the people they're named after are like cousins, right? So it's super important, and it's very interesting. Okay, it's very cool to be able to tie the whole Bible together, right? So let's get started. Let's hear some really old names. Okay, we're starting with Japheth. Right? Now remember the blessing from Noah to his 3 sons, right? So essentially this was the prophecy that Noah received from God, explaining how his sons and their descendants, how they would eventually end up being, all right? How their descendants would relate to each other, right? So Shem would be the greatest of the 3 brothers in the relation to God, right? They would be God. God would be the God of Shem, right? And then Japheth would work in the tents of Shem. Japheth would know of God, but his descendants would not be God's people, right? And then Ham, of course, Noah told Ham that his descendants would be the servants of the descendants of Shem. Okay, so let's get started here. Continuing on in verse 2. The sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras. Okay, and then we get, so that's one generation, right? Japheth's sons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 sons, oh my gracious, okay? And so then we talk about each of those 7 sons and what their generation looked like, and that's what happens here in chapter 10. We're going the full picture. We're looking at the sons of Noah, the sons of Noah and their sons and their sons' sons and their sons, and just going on, huge generational tree, right? Big family tree here. So, the sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras. The sons of Gomer: Ashkenaz, Riphath, Togarmah. The sons of Javan: Elisha. That kind of looks like Elisha. Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. From these, the coastline people spreads from their land, each with his own language, by their sons and their nations. The sons of Ham: Cush, Egypt, Put, and Canaan. The sons of Cush, Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Rama, and Septica. The sons of Rama, Sheba and Dedan. Cush fathered Nimrod. He was first on earth to be a mighty man. He was a mighty hunter before Yahweh. Therefore it was said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before Yahweh. Right? The beginning of his kingdom was Babel. So, Nimrod, a great man, right? One of the first great men, had his own kingdom, and the first city, the first big city that was the start of his kingdom was Babel. Now that's an important place. I'm sure you're thinking about some Bible stories and some things you've heard about the tower or the place in Babel, right? And so we're going to get to that later on. Okay, so again, being able to tie the whole Bible together. So the ruler of Babel, his name was Nimrod, and he was a descendant of Ham. Okay, so what's really interesting is you look at these sons of Ham, the descendants of Ham, right? Cush, which is India today, Egypt, which is Egypt, and Canaan, right? We know about the land of Canaan, right? These were great nations, right? And then the greatest, mightiest man was Nimrod, a descendant of Ham, right? And so but Noah said that Ham was going to be the servant of Shem, right? That was God's prophecy, God's prediction. Although I hate using that word. That's not an appropriate word, because God didn't guess. God didn't estimate. God planned this. God foreknew this, right? God ordained this, right? Are you hearing me, my little reformers? God made this plan, right? Well, all of these sons of Ham were great leaders, became great nations. That doesn't sound like a servant to me. But listen, what was it that all of them had in common? They were all great worldly men, right? They were great in the definition of what the world says is great, right? But in the end, they were cast down and made lower than the descendants of Shem, which we talked about is Israel. Okay? So, the beginning of his kingdom, again, still talking about Nimrod, the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Kilnah, in the land of Shinar. From that land he went into Assyria and built Nineveh, Rehoboth, Keilah, and Rezin, between Nineveh and Keilah. That was the great city. Egypt fathered Ludum, Anamim, Lehebim, Nephtuhim, Pathrusim, Caslaim, from whom the Philistines came, and Keturim, right? So, we got Philistines here now, which are the descendants of Ham. Right? The descendants of Ham. So, everybody on this list at one point or another was an enemy to Israel, right? So all of the sons of Ham, essentially, at one point or another, warred with or tried to oppress the descendant of Shem. Now, Canaan, verse 15, Canaan fathered Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Arkites, the Sinites, and the Arvadites, the Zemarites, the Hathmites. Afterward, the clan of the Canaanites dispersed. So, you get to the sons of Canaan, right? They all became great tribes. It just listed all of them. And then they end. They dispersed. Right? Well, what caused that dispersal? How is it? What about it that caused them to lose their power? What caused them to no longer to continue to grow and expand? Well, God wiped most of them out when the people of Israel took the land of Canaan. Okay? Now verse 19, and the territory of the Canaanites extended from Sidon to the direction of Gerar as far as Gaza, and in the direction of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, as far as Lasha. These are the sons of Ham by their clans, their languages, their lands, and their nations. Right? Are we hearing some other names there that we've heard before? Sodom and Gomorrah, right? They were descendants of Ham. To Shem also, the father of all of the children of Eber, the elder brother of Japheth, children were born. Oh, we do get into some of Shem. The sons of Shem, Elam, Ashur, Arpachshad, Lud, and Aram. The sons of Aram, Uz, Hul, Gether, and Mash. Arpachshad fathered Shelah, and Shelah fathered Eber. To Eber were born 2 sons. The name of the one was Peleg, for in his days the earth was divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. Joktan fathered Almadad, Sheleph, Hazarmaveth, Jerah, Hadoram, Uzol, Digla, Obal, Abimal, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan. Oh my gracious, Joktan had a bunch of kids. Alright, the territory in which they lived, extended from Misha in the direction of Shephar to the hill country of the east. These are the sons of Shem by their clans, their languages, their lands, and their nations. These are the clans of the sons of Noah according to their genealogies in their nations, and from these nations spread abroad on the earth after the flood. So, Japheth is what chapter 10 started with Japheth, and something interesting about Japheth is that his sons, his descendants, they didn't camp up in one place like the sons of Ham did. They just went Just kind of, a couple generations, and then they sprouted, right? They did seemingly what God told them to do, which was be fruitful, multiply, right? Spread out and fill the earth, right? And so if you look at Ham, it seems like his descendants always wanted to stay in one place, right? And then you get to Shem. You don't really hear the names of any of those descendants. You don't look out into the world today and say, oh, Obal, the descendant of Shem. Oh, that's a great country that still exists to this day. Have you ever heard of the country of Obal? Me neither. It didn't exist, right? His descendants did not shore up really in one place, but they also didn't become great mighty men in the sense of the world. Right? Are you hearing the difference between the descendants of Shem and the descendants of Ham? And since we are such a distance away right now, I'm just going to pretend that you're shaking your head to me, yes, and you're like, oh, that's really interesting, and golly, I'm learning a lot. It makes me feel better, okay? Let me have my little victories. And so this is not a long chapter, but there's a lot of information here. There's a lot of things that help us when we come across this in the later on in the Old Testament, that we can see where the focus was for them. We can see that the focus for the sons of Ham was being important on the worldly sense, right? Well, as the next chapter, when we dig more into the sons of Shem, they were nomadic people. They moved, they traveled. So it's very very interesting. It's important. Right? It's important to know. It's important to understand. Again, it's important to see how all of the Bible ties in together. Right? And from the time that Noah told his sons what God's design was for their descendants, I mean, how much time transpired between the time of Noah telling his sons God's design to the time that it actually took place? How long was it before Israel was greater than Egypt? How long was it before Israel stomped Canaan? Right? How long before there was an Israel? Okay? So, these are things to think about, things to pray about, things to learn and read and remember as we go through the Old Testament. Tie it together. Yeah, notice what's happening here. Okay, beloved? My children. I love you with all of my heart. And I wish I was there with you this morning. And I as much as I wish that I was there, no matter what, I know that there are little hearts there today that is seeking a relationship with Jesus, seeking to be faithful with the God Most High. And I'm very proud of you. And I can't wait to be with you in person. I love you, and I pray as always that your day is full of hope.